p.m. This is the December 12th, 2019 regular meeting of the North Benny Prudential Committee. And I'll introduce myself first. I'm Ray Molyneux. I'm the chairman of the board.
Matthew Patterson, vice chair.
Tim Schrader, board member.
Tim Newbold, head of the village school.
Lori Owell, North Bennington Graded School District Clerk.
All right. There's no public, so we'll skip public comments. Finance report will skip until Mary Rogers, our treasurer, gets here. Consent agenda. Now let's see. Consent agenda is minutes of the November 14th, 2019 meeting, and warrants. Warrants are, let's describe the warrants. They always send them to me this way now, so it's like I have to. I don't know how to get to it.
It's sideways.
Yeah, I don't have a tool with this. Oh, rotate. Rotate right. Didn't do anything. There it is. Okay, and it went back.
Hi.
Hey. So the warrant has a payment to Lori for her minutes, payment to Highland Hall School for nine students, tuition payment, one to Long Trail, one payment to Long Trail for one student. South Shore has nine, I believe. Yes, nine. And then the SVUESD has 11. So we're paying all those. This is the December payment, which is our standard payment for tuitioners to other schools. And then the village school payment for December. And it's up to $253,454.64. The treasurer's report, since Mary's not here at the moment, I'll go through that. Showed at the end of November operating cash balance of $782,000. That includes total receipts from taxes of $933,285, basically. Some delinquent taxes, $721. A little bit of interest, $28. And then the disbursements in November, $156,000, leaving the ending account balance is $858,972, and of that, $76,800 is spoken for sinking fund for building maintenance. And then there's our prepaid legal fee balance and operating cash of $782,000. And all right. And there's really no change in the gift trust fund, except maybe there's a little interest. That's $52,300. And then the restricted security deposit account has $6,520 now. Okay. So warrants, minutes. Did we approve the warrants and minutes? No.
No.
I skipped ahead, sorry. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which included the warrants and the minutes.
So moved, although I was absent from the last meeting, so.
I'll second, and I did look over the minutes, and they looked fine.
Okay, I have one small change I'd like to make, but it's not material to us passing it. So. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that's all of us voting in favor of the consent agenda. And then get back to the agenda. Okay, policies. We have 3 policies to warn and 1 policy to adopt. And we'll just run through these by number and description for warning. The first 3, 50-50, number 50-50, discipline of pupils, suspension and expulsion of pupils to warn. Do you want to warn them individually or as a whole?
Probably individually, just to.
So, shall we warn this? I'll suggest that we warn it, so we need a second for that.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? We have our chance to talk about it after we've warned it, really. So next month, or whenever it comes back to us, we can comment if we have some comments about this. And currently, I don't think we, although Maria may have participated in these particular policies, obviously we don't have a report from her. So. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Verbal physical assault on an employee to warn, that's number 5065. I move that we warn it.
I'll second that.
Any comments now? Seeing none, all in favor of warning it?
Aye.
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 5400, student safety, warning. I'll move that we warn it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The last policy is to adopt, it's number 5600, student freedom of expression in school-sponsored media. And this policy merely says it will follow state statute.
Seems difficult to argue against.
Right. We haven't a leg to stand on in that. So,
I'll move to adopt.
I'll second.
No. Tim seconds. Any discussion? Then let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Jim, you have something to say to us?
Good evening.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And we're just all tied up in budgets. I just came from the Mount Anthony budget meeting. We're concerned, particularly with the ruling that came out on Tuesday on the statewide health insurance plan.
Oh, the
And
arbitrator. Yeah.
Sided more with the employee than the employer. So one of the biggest impacts for us is that all plans are available to all employees where, so family plans at an 80-20 split would be available to support staff where currently they aren't. So we're still playing with those numbers, but if the same percentage of support staff selected a family plan that, say, teachers did, we could be looking at over $1 million hit.
Yep.
And philosophically, I kind of agree with it, but
Yep.
from a budget point of view, because
It's a big jump.
right, and we're not seeing that there's like a gradual phase into it either.
No.
Because when you think of it, here's our lowest paid employees are paying the biggest percentage of their salary for health
Yes,
insurance.
correct.
I don't know how fair and equitable that was historically, but without planning for it, particularly we're gonna have to look at, can we maintain the size of the support staff that we have and still provide them with the benefits that they're entitled to?
Right.
And also we have on the plans that, when we negotiated, through negotiations, I think some very cost-saving but still equitable health insurance plans, in agreeing with the Teachers Association, support staff, as far as cost sharing.
Right.
But in the choice of an HSA or an HRA, but under this
Yes.
it'll only be an HRA, no HSA. And the dollar amounts that we contribute to that the HRA is higher than what we're currently contributing to the HSA. It's not dramatically different, but again, it's still a hit. That on top of the 12% increase that
Yeah.
health
And
insurance.
although you're likely to see some return from that, you can't really bank that into your budget.
Right. So,
Any other significant changes to the general plans? I mean, the 80/20 is new, right?
Right.
It was 82.
well, it's our support staff currently pays less than 80/20, and they will stay at they pay like 14% right now, but that will ratchet up at the end of this contract, which will be a 3-year period, and they will be at 80/20. So the teachers and administrators are already at an
They were
80/20 split.
already.
Yeah. You know,
So this now is a complete equitable statewide, every teacher or support staff throughout the
the
state.
Vermont NEA represented the employees, and Vermont School Board Association represented the employer, and they've been negotiating. They reached impasse and went to arbitration, and this is what we have.
Yep.
So, Jim, does that include all of your paraprofessionals?
Yes.
Wow.
And other support.
Another sports staff too. Yeah. So, I mean, it's
Anybody who's 30 hours plus. wears a cut.
17.5 hours under this agreement qualifies for health insurance.
Okay. Well,
You pay
that is in itself a big increase.
You might expect a different ratio of participation if the support staff in a family situation, spouse might have a better plan, you know, I don't know.
Right, because it's gonna get to the point that they're gonna be paying 20% of a family plan, and, you know. that
That's still
could
a big
represent-
hit.
Big hit of what their income is.
Yeah. Right. Okay, but at the moment, they're not tackling having a statewide contract for
No.
staffs.
No.
That would be another big
Judging
hit.
how this went for us,
That would be
let's
another
leave that
big
alone.
hit. Yes.
Yeah. Special education costs, you know, we're gonna go into that, the Act 177 model. You know, that's coming another year, but we're already feeling constraints from that could impact our budget. And now with this, we're gonna have to, you know, I think historically it was a cheap fix. Let's hire a support staff, a para, an extra para.
Yeah.
And now you add this onto it, you may look, well, for a short money distance, it might be better to hire a certified teacher.
Would you, perhaps it would be useful if you just explained what Act 177 does to us?
Well, there was a study by the University of Vermont and another private contractor who did a study of special ed costs, and then they made recommendations to the state. And the best way to describe it is, you know, we're going to get like a block of money based on what our previous spending has been for education, and then we'll have less restrictions on how we spend it, is how it's being promised. But where right now it's really a direct reimbursement, and the challenge for the state was there was no cap on that. So
Yeah.
more special ed students, you know, they would pay
Right.
their percentage of the first 50,000, and then the other,
Yes.
you know, up to 90% once it got over a certain dollar
Yes.
amount for the out-of-district placements. So I think it's, you know, we're watching for details, planning, but The state also describes it as for those higher need districts, it can be more money, and for those that have less needs, it could be less money because it's a redistribution of where the needs. So it sounds good.
Yeah, with the hope that they maintain basically the same
Yeah.
total, or maybe
Right.
at least decrease the rate of
Yeah.
increase.
But it will, when this is fully implemented, really shift how Vermont has been
Yes.
paying for special education.
Right. Because none of this releases any of the districts from the legal obligations that are enshrined in the law
That's right.
and in state rules.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Do you know what the limit is on, there's a per pupil thing where it sort of overrides the per capita spending? Is it like 60,000 per student or something like that? I think is
60,000,
what it was,
yeah.
right?
it used to be 50.
50, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's gone up
Yeah.
to 60. That's what it's going up
I believe it. I
Yeah.
think you're right.
to. Right. And then when do they get to the 90% level?
I don't know that off the top of my head, so I don't want to
There's
misquote.
another,
what the
there's
camera's
another
rolling.
line. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
there's
there's
another-
another.
Yeah, when we get to
step.
those real extraordinary expenses, then
Yeah.
it's a 90% reimbursement.
Right.
And that's, I mean, we have some out-of-district placements that are residential that are costing us $400,000 a year per student, so.
Right. Okay, so they're basically going to, on high-need districts like this one, they're going to shove it more toward the taxpayer, the local taxpayer. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that we've heard is, Vermont's capacity to raise money, is shrinking, and their bond levels or their ability to borrow money, because one of the things that we've been questioning and asking about is school construction aid. It doesn't seem like that's gonna happen
Right.
anytime soon,
Right.
because the state's ability to borrow money is decreasing. So there's less, and there's demands from not just school construction, but that certainly is a concern. But even when Vermont had school construction aid, it was 30% of allowable costs.
Very minimal.
Yeah, not a lot of money for what it costs to build or renovate a school.
And, yep.
But it's
A
good,
lot of paperwork to do it too, but it was useful when it was there, but it stopped being there. The
We-
last building that was reimbursed anything on was the middle school.
middle school. And I don't know this for factual, but I was told by a state official that the last brand-new school from ground up in Vermont was the middle school. There's been nothing built. There's been major renovations, some additions, but completely from the ground up. That was the last new school built in Vermont, and what's that, 12 or more years old now, so.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
it's more than that, because it's closing in on being paid, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
I
So it could
I
be-
think it was like 2005 or 6. Do you know, Matt? When Emily moved in? I worked on a committee that eventually that bond vote was passed. So I was there at the groundbreaking. The date is just lost.
Well, speaking of dates, our budget process, the earliest we can warn a budget is January 23rd.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I want to say February 4th is the latest, so we
Yes.
got a little bit of a window there.
Right.
A little bit of a panic because it seems like we're behind because we're waiting for these numbers that came out on Tuesday. So when we met with the SU budget last week, we didn't have those. Now we do. We're going to
Right.
plug those in, see what it means. We'll meet with the Union Elementary District next week, and then again with MAU right after Christmas to start finalizing, getting towards warning that budget somewhere between January 23rd and February 4th.
Right. Okay. Well, I think I need to sit down with you and Renee some point when it's possible. I don't think that's happening this week or next week, really. Although Renee said maybe Thursday.
Or next week. I'll ask her tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's fine with me. I've got something I want to talk about mostly because our figures are pretty, they're just numbers of tuitions, and some of those tuitions are at state average, which we won't know until their budgets almost. So we'll have to plug something in with a factor for increase. We'll have to work with Tim and his budget committee, and then we'll have to see what the SU has. The biggest parts of our budget outside of tuitions are special education and or early education costs, and then numbers like equalized pupil and what the yield is for $1 taxes. That's going to be January somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Late in January, probably.
Yeah, we don't have the CLA yet, we don't have,
Right.
and was it December 6th, was it the tax office released numbers, but we know that will change at the end of the legislative session, right, as it does every year, so.
Yeah. What did they had a 6% increase estimate.
Right.
What did they say for yield, or did they?
Again, I didn't bring it in front of me, so.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I read the article
Yeah.
in Digger, but I can't remember them mentioning a figure for yield for $1. Maybe
But
they
we-
don't know it yet.
Right, and we also know that, it's a best guess at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the legislature always plays around with that.
Well, after we've set our budget, because we have to
Yeah.
set our budget by town meeting,
Yeah.
for town meeting, and they won't be done till May.
All right, so it's a work in progress, and it's 2 months of work, basically.
Yeah, I'll get back to you with
Yeah,
a time for Thursday.
okay. I appreciate that. And, well, I believe the percentage I heard was 5-something, 5.8?
For
4.8?
For who?
For the SU budget.
Yeah, it was like right under 5% was
It was
how it's
just under
set, but that
5.
was before the health insurance.
Yes,
that
okay,
was,
so now it's gonna be lower.
Yeah, so we know we have to work on that, but.
Okay. All right, so that pretty much takes care of item A on my report. I'm not gonna talk about this anymore. And for facility projects, I basically just wanted to continue this meeting for the facility committee, because there are 3 members to meet on this. We can talk about certain things. In order to come up with what we likely going to spend, we need to have estimates for a roof.
So are you in the facilities committee meeting now then?
No,
Oh, oh.
no, it's on my agenda here,
Oh.
so I can
Okay.
mention the topics.
Okay.
And the cost of doing the paint up on the cornice level. And does Jerry Prue have some contractors that do high up painting work for him?
I could ask, but yeah, I don't.
If
I
you
don't
would, I'd
yeah,
appreciate
I will.
it, yeah.
We may have some vendors, but.
Yeah, because we need to get someone to
Yeah.
take a look at it. I hope to have some actual photographs of what's going on up there from
Is the cornice metal or
this wood
it's wood?
wood
Okay.
parts,
Yeah.
no metal, unfortunately. And it's got some peeling paint, so we have to deal with it because we can't prove. I'm pretty sure we covered over some lead at some point in the past.
Would it be worth exploring, since they're pretty simple fascias, would it be worth exploring
Cladding it,
cladding it?
I would think so, yes. But I'm not.
I'll have
I
to
think
come
you
by
could.
during the daytime and look up and see what.
It's a long way up though,
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah.
mean, while the
We need a
roof is
drone to
being
go up
done,
and take some.
Well, we had a
pictures.
drone do the roof,
Yeah,
but Michael didn't do the cornice. He forgot about that. Plus it was cold. So, but he said he would take some, he's an excellent photographer, he would take some photos of it for us to use. Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, you could clad it, you could cover it in epoxy.
yeah.
And that would have longevity, for sure. I mean, you'd have to do some scraping, because you can't leave loose stuff there.
and this has to be done, I mean, it
I
can't
think
be,
we have to have a plan in place, is the idea. I
Real
don't think it has
quick.
to be
and then done next
but
summer,
yeah.
spring,
But
summer.
I think we have to show them that we're making progress on it.
See, I think we can't remove, probably, because it's a National Historic Register building. I think we have to maintain what's there on the old parts. And so I don't know about, you know, if you could get sheet metal bent to exhibit those profiles, which I'm sure you could, but it's probably pretty expensive. And then you'd have to install it, but that would deal with the paint issue. And
In some
Vermont-
ways, the materials will be more expensive, but, you know, the
So
installation.
the long-lasting
And
part
just
of it would be there.
installation will go quick.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. I can't remember the profiles, but sheets of Galvalume, the same thing they use for roof, you
Yeah,
know.
maybe. So we could investigate that too, because I
And
think
maybe
it
a
would be
roofing
nice to.
contractor would be interested in doing all of that along with the,
Yep. Be useful to get that out of the picture entirely. And those are the big things we have to deal with. And we need some ideas of what it's gonna cost us.
Do you do a sinking fund like some of the other districts?
Oh, yeah, we have a sinking fund, but we do it a little bit differently. We put it at, you know, we put a line item in for the building. What do we call that line item? Anyway, we have a line item for building reserve, and we spend for current expenses out of it, and then we've been putting the rest of it aside to save it for this big expense, so we don't have to bond. We don't know what it will be exactly, but the roof isn't cheap.
we were about 120, I think, on the train station. But I think that was a little more involved, although maybe not as big.
Not as big, but lots more involved. This is, you know, 3 gables and a shed, and
So we'll be
they're
seeing
not
all-
very steep. There is a parapet on part of it, so, but I don't think it was a hugely expensive roof 20 years ago, but it's 20 years ago. And I was ensconced in a bigger contract, so that was bid. We'll have to have a bid too.
So what do we need to do? Are we gonna meet as a facilities and nail that out, or do we just follow up with
Well,
some roofing
I
contractors?
think we need some estimates that are reasonable ballpark estimates before we meet. That's what I think. Because otherwise, we're just gonna rehash the same stuff.
So we should try to get 3 different roofing companies to give us a bid.
Yeah.
For the roof or for the, you gonna do?
For the roof, and then if
So
they,
why don't we write in an RFP for you? Have the SU do a request for proposals that, to scope of the work or something like that.
you would do that?
That'll take longer.
Yeah.
I think we could do that as a bidding process later on, but we need, I want
You wanna just get,
a ballpark figure from people that know what they're doing.
yeah, well, you can call anybody for that, but then.
Yeah.
and then go out for the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then invite them
So
to
for your
come in.
planning purposes, you want. to do
Yes,
that.
that's what I want. Okay. Other, well, I've renewed I've taken an extended warranty on this computer, which the board purchased for me last year. And I'd like approval for me submitting the bills on my credit card. It also includes accidental damage.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks. And that's about it at the moment, except we'll go back to Mary's.
Sorry, I was
Finance.
thinking we're still meeting at 7.
Yeah, I sort of was too. Kim,
Thank you, Lori, for
You're
sending me
welcome.
that update. The November report had been submitted. There is no changes to that since it was submitted. Pretty straightforward there, not much activity. Since the line of credit was paid off on December 3rd, saving about close to $100 interest if that had gone to maturity. As soon as the tax money is available, that's when I tend to
Right.
pay it off anyway. Thanks to an incredibly diligent job by all of our taxpayers, I think we have a historic low of delinquent properties this year. At the moment, for the school, I want to say there's less than $20,000 out from the current year and nothing from any prior years.
That's
So our
amazing.
residents have done an incredible job this year. That's just phenomenal. I did have one question, and that is there a rent check coming?
January.
January,
Yeah.
okay,
We have to recalculate, yeah.
okay. I wasn't sure if that would be coming in December or not.
No,
Okay. That's it.
scheduled for January
Okay.
and then one in April.
That was my only question.
I looked it up because I heard that was a question. In fact, it's always a
Okay.
question with me because I don't remember the schedule usually. Okay, well,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
yeah, I think we can do that.
I'll second.
Although we could ask Tim, under my other, do you have something, anything to say, you'd like to say? No?
No, I think things are
Behalf
going
of
well.
the
I mean,
village school.
we were very pleased that this came through today, and we'll get you the details as soon as we know more, which is approval of the safety grant piece, and we had some projects that we thought would be very appropriate for our building, and it looks like they are doing sort of 75, and then we have to do 25% of certain portions. But that was good news on our part. Starting the budgeting process for next year. The big question is always how many are going to be coming into our kindergarten. And that's always, trying to figure out exactly what that's going to look like is always interesting. So Lori and I were talking about that earlier today. That's where we are.
Do we have any idea how many families with school-aged children might be moving into the new apartments on Heron Road?
No, we were wondering the same thing in my office.
Yeah.
Because
And when's the date that's supposed to be done?
they're supposed to be renting them next summer. That's
So
the
next
goal.
school year, there's gonna be
It could be,
kids.
yeah.
Well, I would think they would be taking applications now.
I think they might be.
Yeah.
That's the number we might be able to get based
Yeah.
on, by,
It's a Shire's property, right? So
It is.
Right.
they have historic, because I dealt with this in Bennington, they have historic information based on the size of the units and the
each
numbers.
Yeah,
of
so they
ratio.
gave me,
Yeah.
I have that from
Yeah.
when because I had to do
And what did they
sort of
estimate?
an impact, a
250
school impact
impact,
statement, yeah.
What did they estimate?
So they estimated for our school age kids for that size, but I think it's only part done, right? The whole thing won't be on, done by
Well,
some
it
road.
looks like every day.
They are moving.
They're
So
moving
it was-
really
I
fast.
think,
They've got
around-
pre-enclosed buildings there.
So I think it was like 12, estimate of total 12 kids, but for our age bracket, it was like 6 to 8, is
Yeah.
what I think, and then the rest would be potentially at middle school or high school level,
Right.
is I think what they, if I recall correctly, I'd have to go back and look, but it was around that. It seemed,
Right.
it didn't seem too overwhelming for us, but that's the number I remember, but I can look
It's
it up.
very positive.
Yeah, that would be positive. As a district, I think we've increased a couple of ADM this year over last year. We also took in a couple of students that barely made it into the census, so they don't count very much on our equalized pupil, but they are in it.
And
We
there
do
has
have to
been,
pay for them.
and there has been some movement into the district
Right.
of families, so that's.
So,
We'll
if
see,
this-
we'll see that in years to come, but they're moving into the district, so.
If this comes on top of that, it's an addition, it's a substantial increase
Mhm.
for us. And we'll see how that sugars out. So if they're opening up and if they're doing that in the summer, we ought to be kind of planning for that additional number.
Well, and again, it's not necessarily, they won't necessarily, these are kids moving, would-be kids moving from another school, presumably from Bennington, and so they
Yeah.
may want to stay
They may. Yeah.
where they are.
We still have to budget for them on our tuition.
No, I'm saying the district has to plan for them.
Right, and it's a little more difficult for the school to know how many of those might
Yeah, right.
come to the new school. Over time,
Over time.
you'd see more of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion's on the floor.
Yeah.
I'll second.